In this video, we're going to be looking at manipulating algebraic fractions, what we have to be able to do with them, and some easy tricks that we can use for these. So I think the easiest thing to do is to multiply algebraic fractions. So what you would be doing is something like x plus 1 over x squared plus 4x plus 3 times by something like x plus 3 over x plus 2. Okay, so you could do the traditional top times top, bottom times bottom, but this kind of expansion and multiplication you want to avoid, because then you're going to have to factorize it at the end anyway. So what I've always recommended when you deal with algebraic fractions and you deal with multiplying fractions is that you factorize first and then look at the diagonals. So this quadratic here can be factorized to x plus 1, x plus 3, like that. So that would be the factorization of this bracket. And then now, when we look at the diagonals, we can see an x plus 3 and an x plus 3 here. So we can cancel these and they're times by 1. Then we can look top and bottom as well. We also have an x plus 1 here and 1 here that we can factorize, we can simplify as well. So this whole thing will simplify down to 1 times 1, 1 times 1 here, times x plus 2, like that. So 1 over x plus 2 is the final answer for this particular multiplication. So our job is really to just try to factorize any algebraic fractions anyway. That's from a previous video, you can have a little look at that. And then for multiplying, we look at the diagonals and see if we can cancel. Okay, what about dividing? Well, dividing fractions is just like dividing fractions for just normal numbers. We keep the first one, flip, and then change. So if this question was kind of like this, and it was a divide, then we would change this to a times and flip this one upside down, so it would look something like this. Okay, the process is exactly the same. We change it into a times and then we look at the diagonals and see if we can cancel. So dividing fractions, just like with normal numbers, you just convert it into a times fraction. What about adding and subtracting? Now this is probably the more challenging of the two, because you might have something like 3 over x plus 1 and you want to add that to 2x over x plus 3. Okay, and we know that when you add and subtract fractions, it's the same for minus, so you only have to learn this one thing for both. We need a common denominator, and most people, if they had like 3/4 plus 4/5, they would make both of these 20ths, because you can just multiply that. And we apply that same idea with algebraic fractions. We times both of them to get the common denominator, which would look like this. Both of these multiplied as a double brackets. And then to make this into 20ths, we had to times by 5, so we do the same to the top. Well, here we had to times by x plus 3 for this first one, so we do the same to the top. 3 lots of x plus 3. A lot of people do this cross multiplying thing. We can apply that same thing to these. So we multiply the two bottom ones and then we cross multiply. So 3 lots of x plus 3. And if you want to check this, you can see that these two would cancel and you're just left with the exact same fraction. So we haven't changed the fraction. We've just done a common denominator idea. And for the second one, this would be x plus 1, x plus 3. And what did I have to times the 2x by? I had to times by the x plus 1. Okay, x plus 1 top and bottom to try and get this common denominator, which I can now add. So this is the process for adding and subtracting fractions. We do the denominators multiplied and then we cross multiply to keep the fractions consistent up and down. And then we can just expand the numerators, 3x plus 9 and 2x squared plus 2x over this x plus 1, x plus 3 on both sides, x plus 1, x plus 3, and then we can add both of these because we've got the same denominator. So 2x squared, 2x plus 3x is 5x, and the plus 9 here. Okay, so we added the numerators, kept the denominator the same, just like we do with once we've turned these into 20ths, we keep the 2 20ths the same, and we add the two numerators together to get a single fraction. So that's the process. Essentially, you have to be really comfortable with adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing normal fractions, and then with the algebraic ones, the added difficulty is we have to factorize first so that we can do this cross-cancelling after we multiply.